Luke chapter 19, verse 32, and we'll finish at 35. Those who were sent ahead went and found it just as he told them. As they were untying the coat, its owners asked them, "Why are you untying the coat?" They replied, "The Lord needs it." They brought it to Jesus, threw their cloaks on the coat, and put it on Jesus. As he went along, people spread their cloaks on the road. When he came near to the place where the road goes down to the Mount of Olives, the whole crowd of disciples began joyfully praising God in loud voices for all they had seen. I want you to indulge me. I want you to indulge me. I want to preach from the subject, share your donkey. Yeah, sit down. Share your donkey. Tell your neighbor, neighbor, I have a request. Share your donkey. Now let's give God praise. I know that you probably wanted more, a much more cleaner title. One that would make you proud, call me your pastor. A title more befitting of a pastor who's currently matriculating through an intense and challenging D-Min program. But since this is my 21st Palm Sunday, I didn't want to talk about what I've already talked about before. I just told y'all why. But rather, I want to look at Palm Sunday, Violet, in a different manner and attempt to capture this moment with a different set of sermonic eyes. We all know Jesus directed his disciples to go into town and get a donkey, bring the donkey to him, and thusly he would ride it triumphantly into Jerusalem. We all know that story. Luke 19:30, Marcus renders Jesus saying, "Go into the town you see there. When you enter the town, you'll find a young donkey tied there that no one has ever ridden. Untie it and bring it here to me." It is a known fact that Zechariah prophesied, Clarence, this to become a reality in the 9th chapter of the book that bears his name. We know he got on it and rode into Jerusalem. We know the owners of the donkey in question came running out to see why these men were literally taking their animal. But upon hearing those infamous words, the master needs it. Everything else quiets down. And the disciples are allowed to take the donkey for the master's use. And so today, Anthony, good to see you. We celebrate another Palm Sunday. We celebrate another remembrance of Jesus riding into Jerusalem. And I want to take a moment and ask you and I a question. What do we have to share with Jesus? I knew you wasn't going to say nothing. And I should be the one really acting unseemly because I'm the only child. And we all know the only child don't do well sharing. Those of you that had siblings, you had no other choice. I didn't have to share with nobody. But here, today is different. We're not sharing with cousins. We're not sharing with brothers and sisters who will get on our nerves from time to time. We're not sharing with companions and lovers and spouses and friends. We're talking about sharing with Jesus. These men, who were either farmers or construction men, had a donkey that Jesus wanted to use. And I label these men in one of these two professions, David, because donkeys during the time of this writing were used mainly by farmers or persons who worked in construction, thusly needing something strong enough, Charles, to carry the load that they had been charged to carry. And let me be honest, other than assigning this donkey to be defined as an animal that was described as being completely humble and selfless, this is the only reason why Jesus probably chose to ride this animal into Jerusalem, because he had walked everywhere else. Donkeys, if you will, find it for me, the picture, are symbols of humbleness. And choosing this, Jesus showed his humility. And you know, it's not on the paper. You ain't got to pay me for this statement here. But if you don't watch yourself, those of you who are overly arrogant have a problem with sharing. Those of you who feel that you have it all together, very rarely do you want to give anybody else anything, because your testimony is, get it the way I got it. Jesus showed his humility. But what do you show when you willingly share what you have with Jesus? These men showed a willingness to help the Lord. They willingly gave of what they had in hopes of being a blessing to the master. But what are you willing to give? What are you and I willing to share with a God, watch this, who shares everything with us? This morning I talked about honoring the one who keeps riding for you, and how God continues to ride into our lives even when we don't deserve. And I ought to pick a piece of that right now, because at the end of the day, God continues to ride in our life and continues to do things for us, Angela, that we really don't deserve, nor have we done anything fitting and bequeathing us to get what we get. But because God is who he is, full of grace and mercy, every time we need him to mount his divine horse and ride into our life, he comes. Lord, I wish I could preach it like I feel it. He comes when we're sick. He comes when we're sad. He comes when we're sarcastic. He comes when we're down. He comes when we're almost level to the ground. He comes when we're broke, busted, and disgusted. He comes even when we have not done anything worthy of him showing up. And you can sit there and look at me like a bump on the log if you want to, but you know for a fact that God has been riding in your life. And since his ride, and since we can all agree that he rides in our lives, what we're going to give him for it? What are we going to do in honor of him continuously? He don't stop because we're no good. He doesn't stop because we are sinners. Some of us sinned this morning. Some of us going to sin this afternoon? You ain't got to say amen. Some of you, if your knees are hold up and your back are hold up, you might sin some kind of way before you go to bed tonight. But here's the good news. Can't nobody say it like Mary Addison. Here's the good news. When we call on him, he comes to our rescue. A couple things I want to lift today, and I'm going to go home and cook me something to eat. A couple things I want to lift. Number one, if you're going to understand the necessity to share your donkey, to share what it is God has blessed you with, to share what it is that you have with the Lord, number one, you need to understand the Lord always knows what you have that he can use. You men, we good at hiding. We can hide in our barns, in our shops, in our sheds, in the trunks of our cars, underneath our seats. We can hide stuff everywhere. Don't you wives and girlfriends go looking now, because we the only one got the key to it. And you know, y'all just as bad. It's Women's Month, so I'm not going to pull your cover, but I know where y'all hide some of y'all stuff too. But I ain't going to tell it. I'm going to keep it to myself. I'm not going to tell it. Clients don't want me to tell it. I'm not going to tell it. But just know, I know. Y'all know how to hide. Matter of fact, an old man said that women can hide money and have money on them in moments that men don't have it. Now, I know I'm talking right there. Baby, you got $20. I ain't been to the bank. And they turn around like this here and miraculously come right back, Tommy, with $20. They come to us, say, baby, you got $20. We say, I don't know. I'll cash app it to you tomorrow. What we need to see here is that the Lord, unlike us, knows what you have. Knows what you have that he can use. Let me preach it elementary to you so you'll get it. You can't hide from God. You can hide from us, but you can't hide from God. Look at what Luke chapter 19, verse 32 says. The two followers went into town. Easy read version. They found the donkey exactly like Jesus told them. Where Jesus said it would be, that's where it was. And he already knew that the owners were going to ask some questions. Now, let's have a real moment here. None of us in the room would have allowed our donkey to go free like that. Y'all just trying to be holy today. You don't want to tell the truth. You know, Corey, you and I would have not allowed our donkey. Why are you taking my donkey? What are y'all doing? Why are you bothering my donkey? Why are you that is stealing. Why are you stealing my donkey? I don't care nothing about your master say he needs it. I don't even know who your master is. Why you care? And then the spirit, I'm using my imagination, the spirit pricked the owner's heart, and when they said the master needs it, while they were yapping, they said, oh, Jesus? Oh, by all means. Jesus already knew where the donkey was. He already knew Miss Lynette, who owned the donkey. And I want you and I to know today that Jesus knows what you and I have that he can use. He knows about that money that you're hiding that you don't tithe off of. He knows about that car that you don't drive to carry nobody nowhere. He knows about those clothes that you'd rather throw away than give to somebody in need. Jesus knows. He knows what you have hidden and under a cover, that which you ought to give to bless somebody, but you throw it away instead. He knows all of the stuff you try to hide and hoard for yourself that you don't even want to use anymore, right down to the sound advice that you keep to yourself because you don't want to help nobody else get better. Oh, Pastor, I'm not going to share because, you try to tell y'all what to do, y'all get upset, y'all get mad. It ain't about us getting mad. If the Lord laid on your heart to share something with somebody, be man up and share with somebody, because you don't know why the Lord is laying on your heart to say and do whatever he's trying to get you to do. God is calling us to let him use what we have. He knows what we have, and therefore we can't hide what we have from God, but rather allow God to use what he already knows that belongs to us. And let me park that, because Dominique, I wrote it wrong. It don't belong to us. I wish I had some help here. That car that you don't want nobody to ride in don't belong to you. That room you don't want nobody to sit in don't belong to you. Them plates that you only use on special occasions and you don't even like using them then, they don't belong to you. And I stop by to tell you something. If you lay down and die, somebody gonna use them plates. If you lay down and die, somebody gonna sit in that room. That child might not even hold on to the property long enough to sit in it themselves. Somebody gonna ride in that car that you don't want nobody to ride in. Can't park over here, park down there, park down there, park down there, park down there, park down there. Can't go in that driveway, too many holes. Can't go in that driveway, tie the car up. When you lay down and die, somebody gonna tie it up. Secondly, you got to understand that you're being charged today on this Palm Sunday to share your donkey. Number two, because God would never allow anyone to stand in the way of you sharing with him what he wants to use. Come here, Bible readers. What you've done to the least of these. I wish I had some Sunday school people in here. You've done unto me. How did we do that, Jesus? When they were hungry and you did not feed them, you did not feed me. When they were in prison and you did not go see them, you did not come see me. When they needed shelter and you did not give it to them, you did not provide me shelter. What you've done to the least of these, I just want to make sure I could do it. You've done unto Dominique, the donkey in question, because we haven't talked about this, the donkey in question had a set of owners in Luke chapter 19, verse 33. They allude to it. And listen, Marcus, to how they confront the disciples in verse 33. Show it to them. They untied it, but its owners came out, just like these walls. And they said to the followers, why are you untying our donkey? Now, I'm going to tell y'all something. I shouldn't share it because I'm online, but I'm going to share it. I have been ignorant to this story because it wasn't until prepping for y'all today that I gave any thought to that were co-owners. Maybe I need to reinstate Sunday school, because maybe I need to go back to Sunday school, because I never, Mom Geraldine, I never gave any thought to it being, so that's not only meant the disciples were dealing with one owner, but two owners was on that title. Two names was on that deed. James Lewis and Violet. Come on and talk to me. Was on the deed to that donkey. And so the disciples had to deal not only with one owner. I'm going somewhere. But they had to deal with two. Now, that means there were two different attitudes. Boy, you're preaching here today. Two different demeanors. Two different ways. If I get mad again, and I'm going to get mad again, I got a way and she going to have a way. I got an attitude, she going to have an attitude. Hers might be better than mine, mine might be better than hers, but there going to be two different attitudes. It ain't nobody the same. So let me play with our imaginations again. Could it have been that one owner wanted to use it, and the other owner might have had some questions? Could it have been that Joel didn't have a problem with the donkey going to Jesus, but Joel's friend, I wish I had some help here, looked at Joel and said, hey, what you letting him take that donkey for? I just fed that donkey. Matter of fact, I just got up and put my slippers on and went out and gave him 3 bits. Come on, I need some Western watchers here. Gave him 3 bits and brushed him down. And now you're going to let these two persons that we don't even know take the donkey on the word that they say, thank you, Kim, that they say the Lord. How you know the Lord said that? And y'all, you know who that sound like? They sound like us. I don't know the Lord told you to come tell me that I'm supposed to give you something. You saying the Lord told you to come tell me to help you do X, Y, Z? How come the Lord ain't said that to me? And you know, I'm going to tell y'all something. Some of us are liars, because when that person comes to us and says that to us, we already got some kind of feeling if it's really from God. But we be a disobedient bunch because we don't really want to share. Y'all ain't saying nothing. We really don't want to go in our pocket and pull it out and share with the person. Y'all ain't helping me. What it is, you don't really want to do it. You know why? Like I said before, we have that mentality. I got mine, get it the way I got it. But God does not work, preach boy, like that. God looks beyond our faults. Lord, I wish I had some energy here. And sees our needs, and sometimes he will use somebody else to help us. And let's pause while I catch my breath so you can just give God praise for the person that listened to the Lord. Give God glory for the person that obeyed God. Give God glory for the person that said, yes, you can use my donkey to go help that person do what they need to do. The owners questioned why. They asked, what were they doing? They inquired, but God didn't let them stand in the way. And I want to speak prophetically to you today and remind you that nobody can stand in the way of who God has ordained to help you. Y'all know I don't do this often. Nobody alive can stop themselves or anybody else. If God has ordained for somebody, for Aiden to help me, it ain't nothing Lexus and man can do about it. Ain't nothing Deborah can do about it. If God done ordained it, he's going to cause that boy to help me some kind of way, whether they like it or not. That's why I don't understand why we get all upset when we need something. Because you know God's going to provide it. Come on here. You know God's going to make a way. That's why I don't understand why when you're standing in the need and you've been praying and fasting and meditating and asking God and God has not moved, why don't you just wait on him a little while longer? Because you know, number one, he ain't never failed you yet. And number two, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up, preach, boy, with wings as an eagle. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Why are you stressing about what you need when you've seen God already supply what you need? Why are you worrying yourself to death about what it is you cannot see, how it's going to come when God has made ways before? Here's the question. Are we willing to allow God to use us like he used that donkey? Are we willing to be used by the Lord in the same manner he used this little humble animal? We have nothing to celebrate on Palm Sunday if we're not willing to let God use what he has given us to use. The owners questioned why the donkey was being taken, but they didn't try to stop it. You may question why what you have is being taken to be used for God's use. But if the Lord wants it, and if the Lord needs it, God has a way that he's going to get it. Whether you want to share it or not. The owners asked the question in Luke 19:33, and the disciples answered it in Luke 19:34, Marcus, by simply saying the master needs. The master needs. Say it with me. The master needs. Say it again. The master needs what? It. He needs it. The master needs it. In another lifetime, I taught English in 7th grade. And I'm going to flip that sentence around. The master needs your it. The master needs to use your it. The master will, I used to like teaching English, your it. You cannot stop the master from using your it. Whatever your it is, the master will use it when he gets ready to use it, whether you like it or not. Huh? Hit your neighbor like they owe you $20 and tell them whatever your it is, God will use. Here's the thing, and I got to cut you loose. I'm way past my time. I got to cut you loose. These owners, these co-owners, had a moment. They had a moment where they really didn't understand. They really couldn't comprehend why somebody could just come in your place and just take your stuff. And we've all had a moment like that. We've all had a Luke 19:33 moment where we question what you doing. But then we have that Luke 19:34 moment and we say, go ahead and use it. Because God has a way of pricking your heart. Has your heart ever been pricked? Has your heart ever been changed? Have you ever woke up and was planning to go one way with a situation? And you woke up the next day and God had miraculously, I wish I had some worshipers in here, has changed you, and you sitting there wondering, my plan was to lay that Negro out. My plan was to cut him. My plan was to let him know how I really felt. And when I woke up the next morning, something had got a hold of me. And instead of me cutting him, I was praying for him. Instead of me laying him out, I was laying hands on him. And he thought I was just speaking to him. But while I laid hands on him, I was calling on the name of God to myself. I got a lesson for you here, and I'm going to cut you loose. I got to go. I'm hungry. I got to cut you loose. This is what we ought to say. All that I have, dear God, is yours for the taking. You can use it any way you want to use it. Anything you want to use, dear God, you can use it. Do I have a witness here? Anything you have, you can use it. Come on, Dominic, let's go home. But here's the final thing. Not only can you use it, not only does he already know what you have that he can use, but God, Lord, I feel good here now, has the authority over all creatures, and he can use them any way he wants to use them. I gotta tell you here, God created that donkey. God created that animal. And anything the Lord creates, he can use. Anything the Lord makes, he has dominion over it. But that's not the only thing. He's got power over. He's got power over you. And he's got power over me. He can make us do what we want to do. We were talking yesterday how preachers don't preach like they used to. So I made up in my mind this day I'm going to try to pull it like I used to. Preachers don't do what they used to do. But I got to tell you today, God made the preacher. But not only did he make the preacher, he made you and he made me. And whatever way he wants to use us, God can use us. Why don't you point to yourself with one hand and point to the heavens with the other hand and say, God, use me. Use me, Lord, until you use me up. I don't want you to ride on Palm Sunday and let your riding be in vain. I don't want you to ride on this Palm Sunday and your riding be in vain. So I'm going to tell you, use me. Empty me out. Use my hands until they get worn out. Use these 13s until they get worn out. Use my mind. Let this mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus. It's Sunday, y'all. It's Palm Sunday, and you know what we do. We call the road. He rode into Jerusalem today. He cursed the fig tree tomorrow. He talked about the Oliver Discourse on Tuesday. He chilled out on Wednesday. He fed his brothers on Thursday. But you know what he did on Friday. I'm not going to tell you today. You got to come back Friday. And I'll try my best to tell you. But you got to come back Sunday. Because Friday's not the end of the story. So while we're waiting for Friday and Sunday, let's celebrate him with the key word for today. Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Anybody feel like being used? Anybody feel like being used? Use me, Lord, in your service. Draw me nearer every day, for I'm willing to run on all the way. If I falter while I'm trying, Lord, don't be angry. Just let me stay, for I'm willing. Father, they don't know that. For I'm willing. Anybody willing today? Why don't you stand to your feet? I gotta go cook for my child. Why don't you stand to your feet? I got a question for you. Anybody willing to be used by the Lord? Anybody willing to be used by Jesus? I got something to tell you, Master. Ride on, King Jesus. Keep on riding in our life. Keep on riding in our life. Ride in our life when we're sick. Ride in our life when we're sad. Ride in our life. If you can use anything, Lord, you can use us. You can use us in the morning. You can use us in the midnight hour. You can use us at nighttime. Any kind of way. Any kind of way. And anywhere you want to use us, you can and you will. Ah, yeah. I got a question for you. Won't he do it? Come on here. Won't he do it? Won't he use you? Won't he use you to make somebody's life better? Won't he use you to put a smile on somebody's face? Won't he use you to let somebody know that God is love? Won't he use you until you've been used up? But here's the shout right here. When he uses you and when you feel empty, he will today restore you. Won't he do it? I said, won't he do it? I said, won't he do it? Slap five with somebody like they owe you $10 and let them know God, God will use you. Give the Lord some praise. Give the Lord some praise. I said, give the Lord. Come on, let's praise him. Let's give him a Palm Sunday praise. Come on here. You've been through hell this week. Give the Lord praise. You shed long tears this week. Give the Lord praise. You're going through something that nobody knows you're going through, but give God praise. Let the Lord know that you trust him. Let the Lord know that you want him to ride in your life. Let the Lord know that no matter what you're going through, he can use you. Here we are, God. Use us for your glory, for your service, for your glory, for your service. Use us until we're used up, and then restore us and use us again. Yes, yes, yes. I'm done. I'm done. Put your hands together and give God praise. Listen. Don't let his riding be in vain. Don't let his entry into Jerusalem be in vain. Door of the Lord's house is open.